Hi and welcome to Bloodhammer. I'm Dan.
And I'm Dean.
This week we want to start a bit of a series talking about how you actually get from everything we spoke about so far, like how to get into the hobby, where to buy your models, all that good stuff, to actually get into playing a full 2K game. So we're just going to go over briefly kind of how to build your army, how to set it up, things you should be looking at. So we spoke a lot when you're getting into Warhammer about needing a Codex. You can get these from GW or your local games, hobby shop, wherever they sell them, Amazon, you get them from everywhere. The main reason you'll need your Codex is not only because they're cool, they have some really cool artwork in them, they've got usually a couple of short stories, a bit of lore about that army. If you get the standard Space Marine one, it is thick. It's like 200 odd pages, it's massive.
Just jam-packed with lots of different bits and bobs all throughout.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of great information in there, and they're really cool as books. They're not always quite as useful when it comes to actually setting up your army. Unfortunately, GW are like a lot of modern game studios nowadays, where they change the points, they update things, they change the abilities all the time. Like captains recently just got, now they get devastating wounds one time per battle if you charge in, and it's a one-time thing. They've never had that. I took all my captains out because they were basically crap. You just got a free CP, but now you can use it.
And ask any Dark Angel player, Codex, within, I think about 2 or 3 weeks of the Codex came out, G-Dubs went up yours, we're changing everything, and it just made the Codexes a total waste of money.
Yeah, but you need them for one specific reason, and that is the code in the back of the Codex.
Codex.
Hey!
Who defunct it?
Makes sense. On the very back of the Codex, it won't be on the paper, it's literally on the cardboard back of the Codex. At the bottom is a code. If you go onto the GW Warhammer website, log into your account or make an account if you don't have one, there is a specific section, I think it's at the very bottom of the page, where you can put that code in.
Redeem a code, it's under.
Yes. And if you put that in and download the Warhammer 40k app, which is free, and to be fair, we would 100% recommend it. When you go onto the Warhammer app, your army will be unlocked to use, because don't think GW are going to let you look at all the armies lists for free. You got to pay them 30 quid every time you want to.
Not just that, but off the free version, as I'm going to call it, you can actually only build one army list at a time. If you pay for Warhammer Plus subscription, which I will admit I do, though I don't really use it, I'm a hobbyist, what can I say? You can build pretty much unlimited army lists.
Yeah.
Without that, you can only build, I should say, one army list at a time, which if you want to play around with multiple different things, does make it a little bit challenging.
Yeah, and if you've got multiple different armies, it does. I think it's only $5.99 a month, but still, well, that's $5.99 GBP, sorry. But it's still, there's a small cost to it. But the main point we're kind of going around the region to get to this is get the Warhammer 40k app. It is the main thing that we use. We've got mates that just run off the data sheets that you can buy and the Codex.
Yeah.
But to be quite honest with you, they're out of date really quickly, especially if you've got a bit of a meta army. Blood Angels happen to be one, Dark Angels, I think Necrons have had quite a few updates. Every single Chaos faction is constantly being messed with.
Like poor Custodians, the amount of times they've changed is no one's business.
So if you don't have the app, you have to try and keep up to date with what they're doing, what the point changes are. The app just makes it so much easier.
And also, it's also, I'd say, transport thing as well. You think about, you've got these expensive ass models that you want to carry around safely. Then in the event of a Space Marine player like us, you've got the Space Marine Codex, it's probably about that thick. You've then got your Army Foot Codex, which if you like us Blood Angels, we have to have the Space Marine Codex. The Blood Angels Codex supplement as well. And then in the middle of the game, we've got to jump between 2 different books or 2 different sets of data cards just to figure out what the hell these things do.
Yeah, get the app.
So once you're on the app, you want to progress on to building your army. So the first thing you want to do, select your faction, scroll through your list, find your army. Once you've done that, you're then on your detachment phase. So each detachment gives a different buff and ability to your army. If you do click it, it does give you a little rundown on what's what. So select it if you may, Liberator Assault Group all the way for your Blood Angels. Give it a quick name, make it something funky. My go-to is the Blood Drinkers. Who defunct it? Then build your army. So personally, when I build my armies, you'll notice on the app in the bottom left-hand corner, there's a bright yellow exclamation mark. Does my nut in. That will tell you when you've got an error on the sheet. First thing I do, select my warlord. Now, a few little quick hints and tips for you here. Some units, or some characters I should say, sorry, have to be your warlord. For example, Dante of the Blood Angels, he has to be your warlord if you field Dante. You can't have anybody else. It locks it down, it has to be Dante. Some people like Lamarti's Guardian of the Lost or the Death Company cannot be your warlord because he's too just bat crazy. Once you've done that, in a way, go to town.
Yeah.
Do what you want. Have a look through. So the app you'll find is broken down to characters, battle line, dedicated transport, other data sheets, and allied units. Characters are pretty much as it sounds. It's not just your name characters, it's also things like your chaplain with jump pack, or your captain or a standard chaplain, or even a chaplain on a bike, lieutenant, apothecary, yada 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 yada. There is all sorts. Battle line is the backbone of your infantry. So you've got your intercessors, your assault intercessors.
It's more than likely what you're going to get in a battle patrol. Like when you first buy it, like if you get the Necron one, you're going to get a bunch of Immortals. Is it Immortals or what is it?
Warriors.
Warriors, that's it. So you're going to get the Warriors. It's the same with most of these. You will get intercessors. You'll get some form of battle line.
Yeah.
And they're cheap on points. Most of the time we just use them for either sticky objective because that's what the intercessors have, although they did buff them recently, which is another reason why we say you need the app, because they changed the ability of the intercessors that turned them from shit objective hoggers to actually pretty decent.
Basically, instead of shooting twice, they shoot 4 times if you select one target.
It's nuts.
They actually do decent work now.
Yeah, they slap.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
And it's the same with other data sheets that you pick. The Space Marines, I think you get 4 data sheets. You get the heavy intercessors, the assault intercessors, the standard intercessors. I can't remember what the last one was.
Tactical squad.
Tactical squad.
Tacticals.
That's it. So you get a few there, but the majority, the kind of backbone of most of your army, is going to be in the other data sheets. Those top ones are kind of, your specialties in terms of your characters, your battle line, which is some more of your kind of cannon fodder a little bit with some of them.
The workhorse of the army.
The backbone of the army. I mean, to be fair, I say that like my heavy intercessors aren't one of my best units. And then you're onto your other data sheets, which is things like your Hellblasters, the bikes, the ATV, the multitude of different units you've got, and it can be a bit of everything. The dedicated transports usually is things like the Impulsor, which is just smaller vehicles that can take Space Marines in them, or can take your chosen army's people in them.
If you're nostalgic for the old Firstborn, it includes your Razorback and your Rhino, which are the nostalgic Firstborn transport vehicles. It's basically they're APCs, armored personnel characters. Just get the chaff up the board, get it in your face, end of.
That's all I use the Impulsor for. But your data sheets is where you're going to spend the majority of your time. And it will start to make sense between your characters and your data sheet the more you go through. Each character, if you look on them, well, almost each character, some are lone off, but we'll come on to that at a later date. Almost every character has a leadership tab. If you click on that, it will tell you what units you can pair it with. So the Hellblasters, they can have lieutenants, captains, apothecaries. That's about it.
I think so, yeah.
Librarian can go with them as well. So most standard units, if it's a Hellblaster setup where they're just normal Marines, usually, your main kind of chaplains and people like that can go with them. More specialist units like my heavy intercessors can only have units that are in Gravis armor. Your Terminators can only have Terminator armor. My bikes can only have.
A lot of the time, it is common sense. Like Dante can only be with the Sanguinary Guard or Jump Pack Intercessors because of the Jump Pack. So it does produce some very amusing mental images of having a non-Jump Pack leader leading a Jump Pack squad, going, "Yeah, you go, boys. I'll bloody catch up in a minute." And the poor geezer running up the field. As amusing as that is, it holds no benefit in war.
Yeah.
So they are quite good in that respect of making it so it makes sense, which is unusual for G-dubs.
It is unusual for G-dubs, but also when you're going through, like I said, it will take time at the start, everybody does, to start working characters in, but just play around with it, get them in there. Your other data sheets is also where all your armor's going to be, for the most part.
Yeah.
My tanks, the dreadnoughts are all in there, apart from Big Boy. Big Boy is in Allied units.
Yeah.
And the allied units is things like, you know, again, we base a lot of ours on Space Marines, but it is things like, you know, the Titanos Legionis, I think it is, the Knights, the Inquisitors,
Imperial Agents,
Imperial,
as they now call
Imperial
it.
Agents.
Yeah.
You've got the Assassins as well, which rarely are used, but some of them are quite cool. Some of them do have some really cool abilities.
I do run an Assassin on my Custodian
You
army.
do run an Assassin on your Custodian army, but they're just little kind of additional models. That's what they are. They're
Just
allied units.
something, just add a little bit of flavour to the mundane ordinary, shall we say?
Yes,
Yeah.
and things like the Knight is, you know, a good example of that, because they are a very specialist unit. Even though you can build a Knight army, which I do really want to at some point, because I think it should be allowed. But you can have a look in there. Not many people use allied units unless it's for like something like a Knight, or maybe, like we said, some of the smaller units, like one Inquisitor, which can come in. They've got some cool abilities. But for the most part, you'll spend most of your life in other data sheets. It's where it all lives.
But as Dan said, we will touch into some of the more finer points, some of the nitty-gritty points in a later episode. But the biggest advice and the best advice that I can give, and I know it's something that Dan did once Dan started in this, is read. Just sit and read, look at what things can do, get an understanding, and ask questions. If you've got a friend who's been doing it longer than you, or someone who's introduced you, or even at your local Games Workshop store, just ask what something means if you're just not sure.
Yeah, it's the best advice I can give for a beginner, is when you're getting into it. Was when I started, I just kind of, you're so desperate just to get to 2,000 points, because playing 1,000 points is fine, but it's not, it feels a bit half empty, you know what I mean? If you're playing a full 2k army, it's amazing. It's so awesome going 2k for 2k. But you're just so desperate to get there, you'll just buy anything, you know, unless you really are dedicated to really honing in on an army. If you're a newbie, like I was, you're just buying stuff off eBay, you're just going to piece together what you got. What I would advise is really sit down and just go through every character, every data sheet, every, you know, piece of armor, and just build a bit of a, what I would suggest is, like we were saying, if you pay the $5.99 for Warhammer Plus, have whatever armor you've got right now, and then build a future army where you've sat down and you've gone through everything. That's what I did for mine. And things like the bikes aren't a super popular unit, really, for a lot of people. They're not used by many people. But I realised if you paired the Gladius Task Force with them, with a certain doctrine, and an enhancement, which again we'll talk about enhancements at a later date, on my chaplain, not only did it give me 2 more attacks, 2 more strength, +1 to the wound, which means if the wound roll is 4, it's then 3 for me because it's +1, and +1 to damage. It just so unlocked it, and since then they've been a staple in my army. They're quite feared when I play you guys, because you know if they get into melee, they will do some damage. But that was me sat over Christmas, messing around on the app, reading, trying to figure out what to build.
Oh, the memories of the voice notes on WhatsApp.
Yes, I sent.
Oh my god!
I sent many of
Do you know what
voice
I've just figured out?
notes. Yes, and then the first game I played with them, it was terrifying for you.
I just killed them quickly.
You did, actually, to be fair. I think it was Space Force or Custodes, but that's the best advice we can give. This is quite a short snapshot video, but like we said, play around with the app.
Definitely.
Get your characters in, get some form. I would always recommend, I like a little transport unit, because they're very good for like driving up, dumping some troops. Get your armor in. I run 2 tanks, you run 2 tanks. Get some form of armor in, and get a bit of a balance across your army. But have a play around.
Definitely have a play. And if, as I say, if first you don't succeed, try again. Run an army list 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Even if you lose every single game, you'll do a few and you'll work out. Like for me, I love Terminators. Some of my favourite models are Terminators, but they are the most disappointing. I used them about 3 or 4 games. They did nothing. They've never featured in an army since. Hope to God my Space Wolf ones don't feature like that.
I will argue, though, Assault Terminator squads.
Yeah.
The Assault Terminator squads, on a side tangent, don't have guns. They're just pure melee, but you can put them with a relic shield that gives them 4 pinball save, and you can give them Thunderhammers, which do, I think it's 9 strength.
Strength 9, devastating wounds.
Devastating wounds, yeah. And it's really good, because you can deep strike them as well. But that's the point. Have a look through. You know, if you're kind of figuring it out, at least with the app, it's so easy to look and go, okay, so it moves 6 inches. You need, you know, it moves 6 inches. It's got 4 toughness. It's got 3 wounds. It's got objective control, which we never really bother with, to be fair, objective control. You know, it's got your saving throw on there, so you immediately know everything that you need to know about it. And you can have a bit of a play around. We use proxies all the time to test out our armies and go, well, I don't know if I want to buy a knight yet, so let me have a play around and see if it's any good. And using the army list will really help you just kind of figure out what you need to buy. Because if you're going into it with just the Codex or just blind, it's a bit difficult. And at least with the app, like Dean was mentioning about that big hazard sign, that'll pop up if you've messed up. If you put too many units in, if you're over your points, if you put the wrong weapon selections in, you know, if it says this army you can sacrifice a bolt rifle for a plasma gun. If you just have the plasma gun and don't take the bolt rifle off,
it won't let you run it.
It won't let you run it. It will come up and be like, this is invalid.
It will let you run it, but it will just constantly flag up, and then you could just end up causing confusing and issues in the game. It's just not worth it. But take your time, read it. By now, if you've been in the hobby a little bit, or if you're a bit of a veteran like me, or you're getting into it like Dan, you'll find out very quickly, or you'll already know that for an English company, G-Dubs have a unique way of, I won't use the wording I used the other night, but they have a unique way of butchering the English language. And instead of simply going 1 + 1 = 2, it's 1 + 1 = instead.
Yeah, none of it makes any sense. But have a play around with the app and see what you think.
So thank you for joining us on this video. As we said, we will go into a bit more depth with bits and bobs in the next video. So as always, thank you for watching us. If you like what you've seen, please like and subscribe to our channel. Our usual thanks to our sponsors, Mark at Timecast Models,
and Shrewsbury Board Game Society for letting us film and do our videos and just generally playing here.
And as always, we've been Bloodhammer. We'll see you on the next one.
See you later.